Does America need wilderness? Hell yeah, America needs wilderness. Our public lands are under increasing attack from people who want to clear-cut, mine, and frack the living hell out of it. Now, when Congress designates a chunk of land as wilderness, that land gets America's most stringent environmental protections, and that's a great thing. But here's the rub. Since 1984, mountain biking has been banned in all wilderness areas. More than 110 million acres of public lands are off limits. And why is that the case? You might think it's because mountain biking must have proved more devastating to the environment. In fact, the vast majority of scientific studies have shown that mountain bikers have no more impact on a trail than hikers and less of an impact than equestrians who have free rein in wilderness areas. So what's up with that? And more to the point, is there any chance that the Wilderness Act could be amended so that mountain bikers might one day have access to wilderness? Well, we came to Sun Valley looking for answers to those questions, and we're joining members of IMBA and the Sierra Club to try to get a glimpse at what might become America's next wilderness area, the Boulder White Clouds. I'm Vernon Felton, and this is Bike Magazine.
It's a very special place up here. There aren't a lot of people that see this place, but it really is a church for many of us. To find a place like this to ride your bicycle, it's very, very rare, and I would hate to lose it.
There's an amazing tract of far out and wild mountain biking that you just can't believe until you go and experience it. That because of a senator's desire to create a legacy and create a wilderness means that mountain bikers without some sort of maneuvering will be locked out of some prime mountain biking.
For 15 years now, Idaho Congressman Mike Simpson has been trying to make 250,000 acres of land in the Boulder and White Cloud Mountains into a no bikes allowed wilderness. Since 2013, IMBA has supported the Obama administration's alternative, a national monument designation which would protect almost twice as much land while still allowing for mountain biking. For the past year, there's been a pissing match between the two proposals.
I feel like it's just this DC partisan thing going on, and they don't really care that at stake is our backyard and our community's interests are not really being heard, and that I think pisses me off a lot more.
That it's not actually about preserving the land. It's
That's
about
right.
politics.
That's right. It's not about preserving the land. It's not about good land management. It's not about the local community. It's about Republicans versus Democrats.
For this community, the Sun Valley, Ketchum community, as well as Stanley, that takes a lot, out of play, and it takes away that aspirational, some of the most fantastic riding. All because the wilderness legislation says that bikes are mechanized transportation and they're not allowed.
If the wilderness bill goes through as proposed, it would close off some of the most spectacular riding in the whole region. So I think it'd be a huge loss for our community. It's irreplaceable.
Mountain bikes have been banned from wilderness areas since 1984. You might expect that IMBA would oppose that ban. Instead, mountain biking's main advocacy group focuses on preserving bike access by getting proposed wilderness boundaries redrawn and by advocating for more flexible environmental designations. But is that still the right approach? Look at what's happening right here in Idaho. Why not fight the wilderness ban on biking itself?
So this is a political animal. So toss aside the reasonableness and logic and say what is the politics of doing this?
Okay.
And the politics of doing this, we can't even achieve that with the people who hate the Wilderness Act. So where are we going to pass something through with the people who adore the Wilderness Act and adore the fact that it doesn't allow bikes?
I think the long-term strategy, though, is working. Like in the last 10 or 15 years, the conversation has entirely changed.
Completely.
So 15 years ago, mountain bikers were shut out of absolutely every conversation. The wilderness community and the public lands community was marching forward without mountain bikers participating. And there's no better example than Idaho, where they struck this deal in early 2000. We didn't have a seat at the table. There were some volunteers locally that made a bunch of mistakes. A bunch of mountain bikers messed up the process, and we were sort of held accountable and responsible for that for over a decade now. Contrast that with the dozens of other bills that are this booming success story because we've been at the table early, we've been involved in the planning processes, there's companion designations, there's boundary adjustments, there's corridors. I would say, we're over-focusing on the negative because we're in Idaho and we're all emotional about losing these incredible, iconic, epic trails. But you contrast that with the rest of the country, and the long-term strategy is working because we're winning on all these other bills. It's like 30 bills versus 1.
So IMBA believes it's better to work around the Wilderness Act than to try and outright amend it. But what's the Sierra Club's position? Once very anti-mountain bike, the Sierra Club has taken a more positive view of the sport in recent years, though they still support this wilderness ban on mountain biking. Why is that? I mean, you're a mountain biker, I'm a mountain biker, right? I'm a hiker, you're a hiker. I mean, there's always flow back and forth between all this, right?
Right.
So there's so much in common, and yet there are some things where, we're apart. And, the biggest one, obviously, is the issue of wilderness and mountain biking.
So Sierra Club supports wilderness as one of the best protections that you can get for special places.
Right.
The wilderness bill states that there's no mechanized transportation within those.
Which was changed in '84 because it used to be motorized, right?
And so
there's that history.
So, but the way the law stands now, that there's no bikes are not allowed in wilderness, and so the Sierra Club supports that law. So that's...
Is that hard for you personally? I mean, you're a mountain biker.
No, it's not. It's not hard for me personally because wilderness is a special designation for protecting special places.
It just feels like we're spending all this time fighting instead of working together, and that's a great tragedy. Because if we did join forces, we would be better. The environment would be better off. I mean, the environment needs more advocates right now.
That's true. And that's the reason why Sierra Club chose to participate in this gathering, so that we can build that relationship and start building that trust so we can continue to understand how our two sides can work even more closely together and start identifying those issues and building that trust. So when there are times like this where it may be that we have to agree to disagree, that we're still gonna, on this, maybe we're agree to disagree, but other places that we're gonna be able to work together because we have that trust and relationship and that shared values that we all care so much about.
We went to Idaho a few weeks ago, hoping to make a film that inspired some debate over the Boulder White Clouds Wilderness Bill. Well, here's the bad news. As soon as we got home, Simpson's wilderness legislation zoomed right through Congress.
Boulder White Clouds in central Idaho is one step closer to becoming a protected wilderness area. Today, the U.S. House passed a bill introduced by Congressman Mike Simpson. The bill outlines some 300,000 acres of land in the Boulder White Clouds as wilderness area.
What we just did is created a wilderness of about 275,000 acres that create these three wilderness areas plus a buffer zone around them. And it is a great day for Idaho. This is an Idaho solution to an issue that has been pending for some time.
As a result, some of the best trails in the West got closed to mountain biking. Yet again. Look, it doesn't stop there. Right now, trails in Montana are being closed to mountain biking simply because they might one day become wilderness. Now, maybe you're cool with all that, but something still bothers me. Mountain bikers aren't banned from wilderness areas because we're a threat to the environment. We're banned because other trail users simply don't want to share it with us. It's politics, pure and simple.
I don't understand this definition of wilderness. Like, I'm a conservationist. I'm someone who cares about the trails. I am here in, God's country, basically doing what I love to do. And I don't feel that I'm hurting the place. And it took it becoming really personal in my backyard for me to actually wake up and kind of smell the coffee. And the reason it's a bigger issue than just me or just Idaho is because it is happening everywhere and people just don't know.
Really what it is there's a paradigm shift in our society that mountain biking is now, it's a mainstream conservation group of individuals that it's not like this is civil rights, but just like with civil rights, you can't just lock somebody out because you don't like them. You have to have some reason.
A lot of mountain bikers are taken by surprise because we haven't been at the table, because we just didn't know. It's not that we didn't care, we just didn't know, and we didn't know how all these politics works. Once the decisions are made, it really is too late. If we're not there, part of the discussion, then shame on us for not knowing.
You don't want to turn mountain bikers into anti-wilderness people, and that's what we're running into here. When you're out peacefully enjoying nature and leaving nothing and taking nothing, then you're doing the right thing. And I think that having more people exposed to wild places is never a bad thing.